They say at 50 you know who you are. No more surprises, no more magic. Olivia Hartford believed that right up until the Friday afternoon her BMW died on Highway 74, and the man in the faded pickup truck who stopped to help turned out to be the first love she thought she'd lost forever 33 years ago. The engine had gone silent without warning. One moment she'd been cruising through the Blue Ridge Mountains replaying the morning's board meeting in her mind, another eight-figure deal closed, another quarter of growth projected, and the next nothing. Just the hiss of momentum carrying her luxury sedan onto the gravel shoulder while the dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree. Olivia tried the ignition 4 times. Each attempt brought the same hollow click, the sound of expensive machinery refusing to cooperate. She stepped out into the March chill, her Prada heels crunching on scattered rocks, and looked both ways down the empty 2-lane highway. Mountains rose on either side, beautiful and utterly useless. Her phone showed 1 bar of service, then none, then one again taunting her. The irony wasn't lost on her. This morning she'd stood before 40 executives and commanded that room with the kind of authority that made grown men sweat. Now she couldn't even get her car to start. The sound of an approaching engine made her turn. A Ford F-150, its red paint sun-faded to pink in places, rolled to a stop behind her disabled BMW. The contrast between the vehicles told a story all by itself, her sleek German engineering versus honest American labor, worn but reliable. The driver's door creaked open and a man stepped out. Tall, broad-shouldered, maybe 55, wearing a flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up and jeans that had seen better days. His face carried the kind of weathering that came from years working outdoors, smile lines deep around his eyes. He wiped his hands on his jeans, even though they already looked clean. The words came out before she could calculate whether accepting help from a stranger was wise. "Engine trouble," Olivia heard herself respond with uncharacteristic vulnerability. "It won't start. I don't know what's wrong with it." He tilted his head slightly, assessing the situation with the practiced eye of someone who'd spent his life solving problems with his hands. "Mind if I take a look?" She hesitated only a second. "Please." He walked over with an easy confidence that suggested he knew exactly what he was doing. Popped the hood without asking, leaning in to inspect the engine compartment with the kind of focus she usually only saw in surgeons. Olivia stood back watching him work, and that's when it started, that strange nagging feeling in the back of her mind. Something about him felt familiar. His voice interrupted her thoughts, calm and professional. "When's the last time you had the battery checked?" Olivia forced herself to focus on the question rather than the unsettling déjà vu. "I'm not sure. I just bought this car 6 months ago." He straightened up, examining a connection she couldn't see. "Terminals come loose, the positive cable." He walked back to his truck, the easy gait of a man comfortable in his own skin, and rummaged through a toolbox in the bed. Returned with a wrench. "Let me tighten this up for you." She watched his hands as he worked. Capable hands. Scarred knuckles, calluses on the palms, a faint rim of motor oil under the nails no amount of scrubbing would remove. There was something about the way he moved, deliberate and certain, that tugged at a memory she couldn't quite grasp. The silence felt awkward, so she filled it. "I'm Olivia Hartford." He glanced up briefly, offering a small smile that did something strange to her heartbeat. "Jamie?" "Jamie Mitchell." Mitchell. The name landed in her chest like a stone dropping into still water, sending ripples through her consciousness. But ripples of what? Recognition? Impossible. She'd remember meeting a man like this. Yet that smile, God, that smile. Warm and genuine, the kind that made you feel like everything would be okay. She'd seen that smile before. She was almost certain of it. Olivia tried to keep her voice casual. "You live around here?" "Yeah." He worked the wrench with practiced efficiency muscles, flexing beneath his flannel shirt. "About 20 minutes down the road. I run an auto shop in Pine Ridge." The words triggered another wave of familiarity, stronger this time, but she couldn't place why. That's good. Lucky for me." He tightened something with a final twist, then straightened up, closing the hood with a solid thunk. "Try it now." Olivia slid back into the driver's seat, her hands trembling slightly as she turned the key. The engine roared to life, smooth and perfect, as if it had never failed her at all. A relief flooded through her. "Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you so much." Jamie closed the hood properly, checking the latch, then wiped his hands on his jeans again. Just a loose battery terminal. Happens sometimes, especially with newer cars. The connections settle differently. She stepped out of the car, reaching for her purse with practiced efficiency. Let me pay you. Seriously, how much do I owe you? But he was already shaking his head, that smile returning. Nothing. Olivia blinked. In her world, nobody did anything for nothing. No, really, I insist. Jamie's voice carried quiet conviction. It took 2 minutes. I'm not taking your money for tightening a bolt. He paused and something shifted in his expression, a warmth that went beyond simple kindness. Ma'am, if I charge folks every time I help someone in trouble, I wouldn't sleep well at night. Keep your money. The words hit her harder than they should have. Nobody talked like that anymore. Nobody looked at her like she was just a person in need of help, rather than a walking dollar sign. Olivia pulled out one of her business cards instead, holding it out to him. Her fingers brushed his as he took it, and the contact sent an electric jolt up her arm. Then at least take this. If you ever need anything, anything at all, please call me. Jamie glanced at the card, and she saw his eyebrows rise slightly when he read the title beneath her name. CEO Hartford Tech Consulting. He tucked it into his shirt pocket without comment, then looked back at her with those warm brown eyes. Well, he said, his voice carrying a hint of something she couldn't identify. Surprise, respect, distance. I hope the rest of your drive goes smoother. Olivia heard herself say, thank you again, really meaning it this time, and he nodded before turning back toward his truck. She stood there watching as he climbed in, started the engine, and pulled back onto the highway. Watched his taillights fade into the distance as the sun began its descent toward the mountain ridge. And that's when it hit her. That smile, that kindness, the way he looked at her, really looked at her like she was a person and not just a title or a tax bracket. The way his hands had moved with such certainty, the voice patient and calm. She knew him, her breath caught in her throat. Her mind raced backwards, sifting through years of memories, searching for where she'd seen that face before. And then, like a photograph developing in slow motion, it began to come into focus. 33 years ago. College. The library steps. She'd been walking back to her dorm late one night when a group of drunk guys had cornered her, making crude comments blocking her path. She'd been terrified, frozen, unsure what to do. And then he'd appeared. A guy from campus, someone she'd barely noticed before. He'd stepped between her and them with quiet, commanding presence that made them back off. He'd walked her back to her dorm that night. They'd talked 4 hours. In those hours, Olivia, back then, she'd gone by Claire. Her middle name had felt something she'd never felt before. Seen. Understood. Safe. His name had been Jamie. Jamie Mitchell. And now, standing on the shoulder of Highway 74, with the mountain wind picking up and the temperature dropping, Olivia Hartford's hands started shaking as the full weight of recognition crashed over her. It was him. After 33 years, it was really him. And he didn't remember her at all. Olivia didn't sleep that night. She lay in her king-size bed in the penthouse overlooking Charlotte's skyline, staring at the ceiling, replaying every second of their encounter on that mountain road. The way Jamie had looked at her, kind helpful but distant, like she was just another stranded motorist, another stranger. He didn't remember her. The realization cut deeper than she'd expected. At 2 in the morning, she gave up on sleep and reached for her phone. Her fingers trembled as she typed his name into Google. Jamie Mitchell, Pine Ridge, North Carolina. Mitchell Auto Repair appeared immediately. The website was simple, almost austere, basic information, business hours, a handful of customer reviews averaging 4.8 stars. There was a photo of the shop, a modest building with paint peeling near the roofline, a hand-painted sign that read Mitchell & Son Auto Repair, since 1985. And there was Jamie, standing in front of the shop with his arms crossed, wearing that same quiet smile. Older than the boy she remembered, weathered by time and work, but unmistakably him. Olivia's chest tightened. She clicked through to his Facebook page, which thankfully was public. The photos loaded one by one. Jamie and a teenage girl with dark curly hair and his smile. Caption, proud dad moment. Megan made honor roll again. Another photo, father and daughter on a camping trip, holding up fish they'd caught. Birthday parties, school plays, father-daughter moments that spoke of a simple life, a good life. No woman appeared in any recent photos. She scrolled further back, searching. Found a news article from 2009, local man wins custody battle. The details were sparse but telling. Ex-wife Jessica Drake had abandoned the family when their daughter was barely a year old. Jamie had raised Megan alone for the past 15 years. Olivia's throat constricted. He'd built a whole world without her. And why wouldn't he? She'd been one night in his life, one conversation, one kiss at dawn that had promised everything and delivered nothing because he'd vanished the next morning. But she'd never forgotten him, never stopped measuring every man against the memory of that night. Never found anyone who made her feel the way 19-year-old Jamie Mitchell had made her feel like she mattered, like she was worth protecting, like she was seen. Her finger hovered over the message button on his Facebook page. What would she even say? Hey, remember me. You saved my life once, and I've been measuring every man against you for 33 years. She closed the app. This was insane. She was being insane, British. But the next morning, Olivia found herself canceling her Monday meetings and plotting a route back to Pine Ridge. Mitchell Auto Repair looked even more modest in daylight. Sandwiched between a hardware store and a coffee shop on Main Street, the building seemed to sag slightly under the weight of decades. Two hydraulic lifts stood visible through the open bay doors. Tools hung on pegboards with the kind of organization that spoke to a man who'd spent his life in this space. The smell hit her first when she stepped inside motor oil and metal and honest sweat. A young guy, maybe 22, looked up from the front desk. She steadied her voice. I'm looking for Jamie. The kid gestured toward the back. He's under the Mustang. Olivia walked deeper into the shop, her casual clothes jeans and a white button-down, the most informal outfit she'd worn in years, feeling strange on her body. She found him exactly where the kid had said, lying on a creeper beneath a cherry-red Ford Mustang, only his legs visible. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Excuse me, Jamie? The creeper rolled out, and there he was looking up at her with those brown eyes. Recognition lit his face, but it was the wrong kind. Pleasant surprise at seeing the woman he'd helped on the highway, not the soul-deep recognition she'd been hoping for. He stood wiping his hands on a rag that looked like it hadn't been clean in months. Liv, what brings you here? Car trouble again. The nickname hit her like a physical blow. Only one person had ever called her Liv, and he'd forgotten. She held up the paper bag from Marcus's diner, using it like a shield. No, the car's perfect. I wanted to thank you properly. For Friday. I brought lunch if you have time. Something flickered across Jamie's face. Hesitation maybe, or uncertainty. He glanced back at the shop, then at her, and she saw him making a decision. Yeah, he said finally, and the word carried more weight than it should. Yeah, I can take a break. They sat on a bench outside the coffee shop next door. Olivia had bought sandwiches from what was apparently the only decent deli in town, suddenly aware of how out of place the gourmet wraps looked in this small mountain community. Jamie unwrapped his sandwich with hands that still bore traces of grease in the creases. You didn't have to do this. The words came out before she could stop them. I know I didn't have to, but I wanted to. Doesn't anyone ever do something just because they want to, not because they owe you? He looked at her, then really looked, and she saw something shift behind his eyes. Not in my experience. They ate in silence for a moment. The spring air carried the scent of pine and earth, so different from Charlotte's exhaust and asphalt. Olivia searched for the right words, the right way to ask if he remembered, but they all felt clumsy. Jamie spoke first. This place has been in my family since 1985. My dad opened it when I was 15. Taught me everything I know. She seized the opening. You learn from him, not in school. From him, he used to say degrees are fine, but skills feed families. Jamie's voice carried quiet pride. A real man is measured by what he builds with his hands, not what he's got in his wallet. The words settled into Olivia's chest, heavy with meaning. She'd spent 33 years building an empire, proving she was worth something, accumulating wealth and power. And here was Jamie measuring worth by an entirely different standard. He sounds like he was a good man, she said softly. Best man I ever knew. Lost him 5 years ago. They talked about the shop, about the town, about safe things, but underneath the surface conversation, Olivia felt the current pulling her toward dangerous waters. She needed to know if he remembered. Needed to know if that night had meant anything to him. Finally, she took the plunge. Can I ask you something? Jamie nodded, taking a bite of his sandwich. You mentioned, I saw on your website it says Mitchell and Son, but I didn't see my daughter, Megan. She's 16. His whole face changed when he said her name, lighting up with unmistakable love. Smartest person I know. Wants to be a mechanical engineer. Going to MIT if I can scrape together the tuition. Olivia's chest constricted. A daughter. Of course he had a daughter, a whole life she knew nothing about. And her mother, the light dimmed. Not in the picture, hasn't been for 15 years. The pain in those words told Olivia everything she needed to know about that particular wound. She reached across the space between them, her hand hovering near his. I'm sorry. Jamie shrugged, but she could see the old hurt in the set of his shoulders. Best thing that ever happened to me, honestly. Megan she's my whole world. The moment stretched between them, loaded with things unsaid. Then Jamie's phone buzzed, shattering the fragile connection. He glanced at it, frowned. Customers here early, I need to. Olivia stood before he could finish. Of course, I should go anyway. But Jamie stood too, and suddenly they were very close. Close enough that she could see the gray threading through his hair, at the temples, the fine lines around his eyes, the small scar on his chin she didn't remember from before. Liv, he said, and the nickname in his voice did something to her composure. Thank you for lunch, for caring enough to come back. She wanted to tell him, wanted to explain that she hadn't come back. She'd been trying to find her way back for 33 years. Instead, she heard herself say, "Can I see you again? Maybe dinner?" The surprise on his face was followed quickly by something warmer. Yeah, I'd like that. Tonight, he laughed, a sound that reminded her so much of that long ago dawn she almost couldn't breathe. You don't waste time, do you? Not anymore, she said, and meant it. I've wasted enough. They agreed on 7 o'clock at Marcus's diner. As Olivia walked back to her car, she felt Jamie's gaze following her, felt the weight of his attention like a physical thing. When she glanced back, he was still standing there watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. 7 o'clock found Olivia sitting in a red vinyl booth at Marcus's diner. Her hands wrapped around a coffee mug she hadn't actually drunk from watching the door. She'd changed 3 times before settling on a simple dress, nothing flashy, nothing that screamed CEO, just a woman meeting a man for dinner. When Jamie walked in freshly showered and wearing a clean button-down that brought out the warm tones in his eyes, something in her chest shifted and settled. He'd made an effort. For her. He slid into the booth across from her, bringing with him the scent of soap and a hint of cologne. Hey yourself. A man in his 50s with kind eyes and a knowing smile approached their table. Well, Jamie Mitchell bringing a lady to my establishment. Must be a special occasion. Jamie's neck reddened slightly. Marcus, this is Liv. Liv Marcus owns this place and has been giving me grief since high school. Marcus extended a hand, his grip firm and assessing. Pleasure to meet you, Liv. Any woman who can get this stubborn fool to put on a clean shirt deserves my best service. He pulled out a pad. What can I get you? Olivia ordered a burger and fries, watching Jamie's eyebrows rise in surprise. When Marcus left, she challenged him with her eyes. What? Nothing, just most people I know who drive BMWs don't order burgers. I'm not most people. Yeah, Jamie said quietly. I'm starting to figure that out. The food came, but neither of them ate much at first. Too busy talking, the words spilling out like water, finally finding his level after years of drought. Jamie told her about taking over the shop when his father died, about the mountain of debt he'd inherited along with the business, about raising Megan alone, learning to braid hair from YouTube videos, figuring out tampons, and training bras through trial and error. She's everything, he said simply. When Jessica left Megan's mother, I thought I'd drown. 16-month-old baby shop to run bills piling up. But you know what? That little girl saved me, gave me a reason to get up every morning. Olivia felt tears prick her eyes. You're a good father. I try. He paused, then asked the question she'd been dreading. What about you, family? She took a breath. I was married once, didn't last. No children, just work. That sounds lonely. The directness of it stole her breath. In her world, people danced around uncomfortable truths. Jamie just said them out loud. It is, she admitted. I built a company worth over $1 billion, and I go home to an empty penthouse every night. Success doesn't keep you warm. Jamie reached across the table and took her hand. The contact sent electricity up her arm just like it had on the highway. You deserve more than that. So do you. The words came out fierce. You deserve more than working 70-hour weeks and drowning in debt and raising a daughter alone. Something in his expression cracked open. Maybe, but at 52 you start to think you've missed your window for more. I'm 50, Olivia said, and I've thought the same thing every day for the last decade, that I missed my chance, that the best parts of life happened while I was too busy building an empire to notice. She squeezed his hand. But sitting here with you, I'm starting to wonder if maybe it's not too late. The moment hung between them, charged with possibility. Marcus appeared to clear their plates tactfully, ignoring their clasped hands on the table. When he left, Jamie stood. Walk with me. The night air had turned crisp stars visible in a way they never were in Charlotte. They walked down Main Street in comfortable silence, their shoulders occasionally brushing. 2 blocks from the diner, Jamie stopped in front of a small park, just a patch of grass with a couple of benches and a streetlight. He turned to face her, and in the amber glow of the lamp, Olivia saw vulnerability written across his features. I need to tell you something. It's going to sound crazy. Her heart began to pound. Okay. When I met you on the highway Friday, and then when you came to the shop today, I kept getting this feeling. Like I knew you, like I'd met you before. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. It's been driving me nuts. I can't shake it. This was it, the moment. Olivia's mouth went dry. Jamie, what if I told you that you had met me before? He went very still. What, 33 years ago, Westfield University, Massachusetts. The color drained from his face. How do you know I went to Westfield? Because I was there too, 1992. She watched the information hit him, watched him trying to process it. You were only there 1 year. Had to leave in the spring because of a family emergency. Jamie's breathing had gone shallow. How would you? Olivia took a step closer. Do you remember October 23rd, outside Bennett Library? She saw it happen in real time, the memory surfacing, his eyes widening as puzzle pieces began to snap together. There was a girl. Some guys were hassling her. That was me, Jamie. He stared at her like she'd spoken a foreign language. No, her name was Claire. She had brown hair, glasses. She was 17 years old, Suyin, skinny because she could barely afford to eat, terrified and alone and grateful when a kind stranger stepped in to help her. Olivia felt tears sliding down her cheeks. I went by my middle name back then, Claire. My full name is Olivia Claire Hartford. It used to be Donovan before I got married and divorced. Jamie's hands came up to frame her face, trembling. Oh my God, you're Claire from the library. I dyed my hair, got LASIK, gained at 40 pounds. 33 years changes a person. Her voice broke. But yes, I'm her. I'm the girl you walked home. The girl you talked to until sunrise. The girl you kissed when the sun came up. The sound he made was halfway between a laugh and a sob. His forehead dropped to rest against hers, his hand still cradling her face. I looked for you after I had to leave school. I tried to find you, but I didn't have your number. Didn't know your last name. You were just Claire who needed help at the library. I looked for you too. The confession poured out of her. For 2 weeks I searched everywhere, asked everyone. And then I heard you'd left school, gone home for a family emergency. I had no way to find you. Jamie pulled back just enough to look into her eyes. My mother. She was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I got the call at 7 in the morning right after I left you. Had to catch a bus home that afternoon. She died 6 months later. I'm so sorry. Olivia could barely speak through her tears. I'm so sorry you went through that alone. I thought about you every day that first year. Every single day. Then I thought I had to forget, had to move on. But I never really did. His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. That night with you was the best night of my life. And then you were gone, and I thought I'd never feel that way again. You didn't feel that way with your wife. Pain flashed across his face. I married Jessica because she got pregnant. Did what I thought was right. But no, I never felt with her what I felt with you in those few hours, not even close. Olivia's breath hitched. I married Richard because I thought if I couldn't have love, I could at least have partnership. Someone who understood ambition. But I never loved him. Never loved anyone after you. 33 years. Jamie's voice was rough with emotion. We lost 33 years. Don't think about what we lost. She pressed her palms against his chest, feeling his heartbeat racing under her touch. Think about what we found. We found each other again. Against all odds, in the middle of nowhere, you stopped to help a stranger, and it was me. He let out a shaky laugh. What are the odds? Astronomical. She smiled through her tears. But here we are. Here we are, he echoed. Then he closed the distance between them and kissed her. It was different from that first kiss 33 years ago, no less sweet, but deeper weighted with all the years and pain and loneliness they'd both endured. Liv kissed him back with everything she had, pouring 3 decades of longing into it, and felt him do the same. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jamie rested his forehead against hers again. I can't believe it's you. I can't believe you're real. I'm real. She laughed, giddy with relief and joy. I'm here, and this time I'm not disappearing. Neither am I. He kissed her again, quick and fierce. Not this time. Never again. They stood there in the small-town park, 2 people in their 50s who'd found each other across an impossible distance, and for the first time in 33 years, Olivia, Hartford felt like she'd come home. Eventually, they started walking again, hands clasped, neither willing to let go. Jamie told her about his life in the years since Westfield, the struggle to keep the shop afloat, the disaster of his marriage, the joy of watching Megan grow up. Olivia told him about building Hartford Tech from nothing, about the loneliness of success, about the divorce that had left her more relieved than heartbroken, because at least she wouldn't have to pretend anymore. Tomorrow, Jamie said as they approached the Pine Ridge Inn where she was staying. Can I see you tomorrow? I was hoping you'd ask. He hesitated, then took a breath like he was gathering courage. Would you want to meet Megan? I mean, only if you're ready. No pressure. But if we're going to... He trailed off, uncertainty clear on his face. Olivia's heart swelled. He was already thinking about the future, about how she'd fit into his life. I'd love to meet her, but Jamie, are you sure? I don't want to rush anything, especially with your daughter involved. I'm sure. His voice was steady now, certain. She's my whole world. If we're doing this, really doing this, she needs to be part of it from the start. Then yes, I'd be honored to meet Megan. They stood on the inn's front porch, neither wanting the evening to end. Jamie cupped her face in his calloused hands. Thank you for coming back, for not giving up on finding me. I never gave up, Olivia whispered. Not really, I just didn't know where to look. He kissed her again, soft and lingering, and when he pulled away, his eyes were bright with unshed tears. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow. She watched him walk back to his truck, watched him turn to wave before climbing in, watched the tail lights disappear into the mountain darkness. Then she went inside and called Sarah, her CFO and closest friend. You sound different, Sarah said immediately. What happened? Olivia collapsed onto the bed, staring at the ceiling. I found him, the one I told you about, from college. The library guy, the one you've been comparing every man to for 3 decades. He fixed my car on the highway, didn't even recognize me. She laughed, the sound verging on hysteria. But I recognized him. Eventually, and Sarah, he felt it too. That connection. He just didn't know why until tonight. Liv, Sarah's voice turned serious. What are you doing? You have a company to run. A board meeting on Thursday. The Goldman deal needs... I know. Olivia closed her eyes. I know all that, but Sarah, what's the point of having everything if you're alone? What's the point of building an empire if there's no one to share it with? Silence on the other end, then a sob. How long are you staying? I don't know, as long as it takes. The board won't like this. The board can wait. The words felt revolutionary. Olivia Hartford, who'd never missed a meeting, never taken an unscheduled day off, never put anything before the company. For once in my life, I'm choosing something besides work. After she hung up, Olivia lay in the dark and thought about Jamie's hands on her face, the way he'd looked at her when he finally remembered. Thought about the life he'd built here in Pine Ridge, modest, grounded, real. Thought about her own life in Charlotte, successful, prestigious, empty. She'd spent 33 years proving she was worth something. Maybe it was time to let someone love her just for being herself. Part 2, Tuesday morning, arrived with blue skies and the kind of mountain chill that promised spring wasn't quite ready to commit. Olivia woke in the unfamiliar bed at Pine Ridge Inn, reached for her phone, and found 17 messages from Sarah. The board was getting restless. Robert Hayes was circulating memos. The Goldman deal needed her signature. She ignored them all and texted Jamie instead. "What time should I come over?" His response came quick. "Megan gets home from school at 3:30. Come at 4, 6 hours." Olivia had 6 hours to figure out how to win over a teenage girl who had every reason to be suspicious of her. The Mitchell house sat at the end of a gravel driveway, a small two-bedroom rental with peeling blue paint and a porch that sagged slightly on one side. Jamie pulled his truck up beside a rusted basketball hoop, its net long gone, and turned to Olivia with an expression that mixed pride and apology. She touched his arm before he could speak. Don't. Don't what? Apologize for where you live. I grew up in a trailer park. This looks like a palace to me." Something in his shoulders relaxed. He kissed her quickly, then climbed out. Olivia followed, her heart hammering against her ribs. Meeting the daughter. This was real. This was happening. The front door opened before they reached it. A teenage girl stood in the doorway, tall and lean, with Jamie's dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She wore ripped jeans and an oversized flannel shirt that probably belonged to her father. Her eyes, Jamie's eyes, that same warm brown, tracked Olivia with undisguised suspicion. Jamie's voice carried forced brightness. "Megan, this is Liv. Liv, my daughter Megan." The girl's jaw set in a way that told Olivia everything she needed to know about how this was going to go. "The woman from the highway." "That's right." Olivia stepped forward, hand extended. "It's wonderful to meet you. Your father talks about you constantly." Megan looked at the offered hand like it might bite, then shook it once briefly. Her palm was calloused. This was a girl who worked with her hands just like her father. "He didn't mention you at all until yesterday." The barb landed clean. Jamie's neck flushed. "Megan, that's not—" "It's okay." Olivia withdrew her hand, keeping her voice steady. "Your father and I have a complicated history. We only just reconnected." "How complicated?" Those brown eyes, so like Jamie's but without any of his warmth, bored into her. "Because from where I'm standing, you're some rich lady who showed up out of nowhere, and now Dad's acting like a teenager." Jamie's voice turned sharp. "That's enough." But Megan was on a roll, words pouring out with the kind of brutal honesty only teenagers could manage. "What do you want with him? Are you bored? Is this like a midlife crisis thing, where you decided to slum it with a mechanic?" The accusation hung in the air like smoke. Olivia felt it settle into her lungs, making it hard to breathe. She could see Jamie about to explode, could see the fury building in his face, and knew she had to defuse this before it detonated. Her voice came out quieter than she intended. "Can I tell you a story?" Megan crossed her arms but didn't speak, which Olivia took as permission. 33 years ago, I was 17 and terrified. New to college, no friends, barely enough money to eat. One night, some guys cornered me outside the library. I thought— She swallowed hard. "I thought something really bad was about to happen. And then your father appeared. He didn't know me, had no reason to help, but he stepped in anyway. Walked me home. Talked to me until sunrise." She met Megan's gaze directly. "He made me feel like I mattered, like I was worth protecting, and then he disappeared the next day, and I spent 33 years trying to find that feeling again. So no, this isn't a midlife crisis. This is me finding the person I've been looking for since I was your age." Megan's expression didn't soften, but something shifted behind her eyes. "Then why didn't you find him before? 33 years is a long time." "I tried. For weeks I searched, but he was gone." Olivia glanced at Jamie, who was watching her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "Sometimes life takes us in different directions. Sometimes we lose people we care about. But that doesn't mean we stop looking." The teenager's jaw worked processing this. Then she turned to her father. "And you just forgot about her for 33 years, Jamie's voice roughened with emotion. "I never forgot, not once. I just didn't know how to find her. Didn't even know her real name." He moved to stand beside Olivia, his hand finding hers. "But I thought about her every single day." Megan looked between them, and Olivia saw the exact moment the girl's defenses slammed back into place. "This is insane. You two are acting like you're in some kind of movie." She backed toward the door. "I have homework." "Megan." But she was already inside the door, closing with finality, if not quite a slam. Jamie stood frozen, torn between going after his daughter and staying with Olivia. Olivia made the choice for him. Go. She needs you. I'm sorry, she's not usually like this. She's protecting you. I'd do the same. Olivia squeezed his hand. Give her time. Jamie kissed her forehead, quick and fierce, then followed his daughter inside. Olivia stood alone in the driveway, looking at the small house with its chipped paint and sagging porch, and felt the first real tendrils of doubt creeping in. What was she doing here? Megan was right. This was insane. 50 years old CEO of a billion-dollar company chasing a decades-old memory in a mountain town where she didn't belong. Her phone buzzed. Sarah. The board wants an emergency meeting. Robert Hayes is making noise about your absence. Olivia closed her eyes. Tell them I'll video conference. That's not going to satisfy them. Liv, you need to come back, at least for a few days. I can't, not yet. You're going to lose them. Sarah's frustration bled through the line. Hayes has been looking for an excuse to push you out. This is handing it to him on a silver platter. Then let him try. The words surprised Olivia even as she spoke them. I built that company from nothing. They need me more than I need them. Silence stretched across the connection. Then Sarah's voice quieter now. Who are you and what have you done with Olivia Hartford? Maybe I'm finally becoming the person I should have been all along. After hanging up, Olivia sat in her rental car and watched the house. Lights glowed warm in the windows. Through the kitchen curtains, she could see Jamie and Megan, their body language tense, having what looked like an intense conversation. The daughter gesturing sharply. The father trying to bridge a gap that kept widening. This was his world, his life. And Olivia was the interloper threatening to tear it apart. Her phone rang again. Unknown number, but a Pine Ridge area code. I'm on. She answered. The voice on the other end was female, smooth, calculating. Is this Olivia Hartford? Who's asking? My name is Jessica Drake. I think we should talk about my daughter. Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock, Marcus's diner held a different crowd than the evening dinner rush. Retirees nursing bottomless coffee, truckers grabbing breakfast between routes, a handful of business people from the small, professional buildings that dotted Main Street, and now sitting across from each other in a corner booth, Olivia Hartford and Jessica Drake. Jamie's ex-wife was beautiful in a hard-polished way. Blonde highlights streaked through dark hair makeup, applied with precision clothes that spoke of money recently acquired. She looked nothing like the young woman who'd walked away from a baby 16 years ago. She looked like someone who'd reinvented herself and left the old version to rot. Jessica's eyes traveled over Olivia with undisguised assessment. So you're the one Jamie's been mooning over. I don't know about mooning. We've reconnected after a long time. Right, reconnected. Jessica's lips curved in a smile that held no warmth. Funny how you reconnected just when his shop is drowning in debt and you happen to be worth over $1 billion. The implication landed like a slap. Olivia kept her voice level. If you think Jamie is with me for money, you don't know him at all. Oh, I know him. Jessica leaned back, stirring sugar into her coffee with deliberate slowness. I know he's stubborn and proud and too stupid to ask for help, even when he's drowning. I know he'll work himself to death before he admits he can't handle something. And I know he'll do anything for that daughter of his. Megan is his daughter, not that daughter. Semantics. Jessica waved a hand. Look, I'm not here to fight. I'm here to give you some friendly advice. Woman to woman. Olivia waited, knowing this was about to get ugly. Jamie Mitchell is a good man, salt of the earth as they say, but he's a mechanic in a dying town with a business that's hemorrhaging money. He's got nothing to offer someone like you except that whole wounded puppy routine that women seem to find irresistible. Jessica's voice turned sharp. Whatever fantasy you've built up in your head about him, it's not reality. You're going to get bored. You're going to realize that small-town life isn't as charming as it seems. And when you leave, and you will leave, you're going to break him. The words found their target because they echoed Olivia's own doubts. Why do you care? You left 15 years ago. I care about my daughter. The possessive pronoun hung between them, jagged and wrong. Olivia's hands clenched under the table. You abandoned her when she was a baby. You don't get to call her your daughter now. Jessica's smile turned predatory. Actually, I do. I'm her biological mother, and I've been doing some research into my rights. Turns out I can petition for visitation. Maybe even partial custody if I can prove I'm stable now. The threat was clear. Olivia's throat tightened. You wouldn't. Watch me, unless... Jessica trailed off, studying her manicured nails. Unless we come to an understanding. What kind of understanding? The kind that involves money. Jamie's proud, like I said. He won't take help from you directly. But if someone were to say pay off his debts, anonymously settle his mortgage, make some of his financial pressure disappear. She looked up, eyes glittering. Then maybe I wouldn't feel the need to pursue legal action regarding my parental rights. Olivia felt sick. You're blackmailing me. I'm offering you a solution to a problem. Jamie keeps you debt-free and happy. Megan doesn't have to deal with a custody battle, and I get compensated for staying out of their lives. Jessica smiled. Seems fair to me. Get out. Excuse me. Olivia stood, her voice low and deadly. Get out. And if you come near Jamie or Megan with the scheme, I will bury you in so many lawyers you won't know which way is up. I'll tie you up in legal proceedings for years. I'll make sure every judge in North Carolina knows exactly what kind of person you are. Jessica stood too, no longer bothering with the friendly facade. Big words from someone who's known them for all of 5 minutes. You think you can waltz in here and play house? You think that girl is going to accept you? Her laugh was cruel. You're fooling yourself. And when Jamie realizes you're just another woman who's going to disappoint him, I'll be there to pick up the pieces. Like I always am. She swept out of the diner, leaving Olivia shaking with rage and fear. Marcus appeared at her elbow, his kind face creased with concern. That woman's been poisoned since high school. Don't let her get to you. But Jessica's words had already taken root, twining around the doubts Olivia had been trying to ignore. She pulled out her phone, hands trembling, and texted Jamie, "We need to talk." His response came immediately. "Everything okay?" Another text before she could answer. "Meet me at the shop in an hour." She sent back a simple yes and sat staring at her cold coffee, wondering if Jessica was right, wondering if she was about to ruin everything by trying to force herself into a life that didn't have room for her. The afternoon sun slanted through the windows of Mitchell Auto Repair, casting long shadows across the concrete floor. Jamie stood at his workbench, organizing tools with the kind of focused intensity that suggested he was using the task to avoid thinking about something else. He looked up when Olivia entered, and the smile that crossed his face made her chest ache. "Hey, you." He wiped his hands, crossing the space between them to kiss her. "What did you need to talk about?" Olivia pulled back, needing distance to say this. "I met with your ex-wife this morning." The warmth drained from his expression. "Jessica, what did she want?" "To threaten me, to tell me I don't belong here." The words tumbled out faster than she could stop them. "To make it clear that Megan is going to hate me, that I'm going to get bored and leave, and that you and I are living in some kind of fantasy that's going to come crashing down." Jamie's jaw clenched. "And you believed her?" "I don't know." Olivia's voice cracked. "Maybe part of me did. Jamie, look at us, really look. I'm a CEO who lives in a penthouse. You're a mechanic raising a teenage daughter in a rental house. We have nothing in common except a single night 33 years ago." "That's not true. Isn't it?" She gestured around the shop. "This is your world. Small town, honest work, close-knit community. My world is board meetings and hostile takeovers and flying to New York for lunch. How is this supposed to work?" Jamie took a step toward her, but she held up a hand, stopping him. "And Megan hates me. She thinks I'm some rich woman having a midlife crisis. She's not wrong." "She's completely wrong." His voice turned hard. "And so is Jessica. Jesus live. Jessica only cares about Jessica. She's probably trying to get money out of you." Olivia's silence confirmed it. Jamie's expression darkened. "What did she ask for?" "It doesn't matter." "The hell it doesn't. What did she want?" "To pay off your debts, in exchange for staying away from you and Megan." Olivia met his eyes. "She said she'd pursue custody if I didn't." The color that flooded Jamie's face spoke to fury barely contained. "That manipulative..." He broke off, running both hands through his hair. "She can't. She signed away her rights. No judge would..." "I told her to go to hell." Jamie stopped pacing, looking at her with something like wonder. "You did?" "Of course I did. I don't negotiate with people who blackmail me." Olivia's voice softened. "But Jamie, she's not wrong about everything." I am out of my depth here. I don't know how to be part of this life. I don't know how to be a stepmother to a teenager who despises me. I don't know how to split my time between running a company and being present here. He closed the distance between them, taking her face in his hands. So we figure it out. Together. What if we can't? Then we fail together. But we don't give up before we even try me. His thumbs brushed across her cheekbones. Liv, I didn't wait 33 years to find you again, just to let you walk away because it's hard. The words should have comforted her. Instead, they highlighted the vast difference in their situations. Jamie could afford to be romantic, to believe in love conquering all. He ran a small business in a small town. She had shareholders and board members and hundreds of employees depending on her. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She ignored it, but Jamie felt it. Answer it. It's fine. Answer it, Liv. She pulled out the phone. Sarah, again, the third time in an hour. With a sigh, she accepted the call. Sarah's voice was tight with stress. Thank God. Liv Hayes just called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning, Thursday, 9 a.m. sharp. He's got the votes to pass a motion of no confidence if you're not here. Olivia's stomach dropped. He can't do that. My performance has been stellar, but your presence has been absent. He's arguing you're not fulfilling your duties as CEO. Sarah paused. He's not wrong. You've been in Pine Ridge for 4 days. You've missed 3 critical meetings. The Goldman deal is stalling because you're not here to close it. I'll video conference in. That's not good enough and you know it. You need to be here, in person, tomorrow morning. Olivia looked at Jamie, who was watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. I'll be there. She ended the call and saw everything she needed to know written on Jamie's face. Resignation, understanding, the beginnings of withdrawal. You have to go. Just for a day, maybe 2. She grabbed his hands. I'll come back, I promise. Of course you will. But his voice carried no conviction. You have a company to run, a life in Charlotte. I get it. Jamie. No, really, I get it. He pulled his hands free gently. This was always going to be complicated. We knew that. The distance opening between them felt like a physical thing, a chasm widening with every second. Olivia heard herself say, come with me. He laughed, the sound hollow. To Charlotte. Liv, I can't. I have a business, a daughter in school. I can't just drop everything and follow you to the city. Then what are we supposed to do? Oh, I don't know, and the admission hung heavy between them. But I know you need to go handle your business, and I need to figure out how to explain to my daughter why the woman I just introduced her to is already leaving. It's not like that. Isn't it? Jamie's voice turned hard. Jessica was right about one thing. We're from different worlds, and maybe that matters more than we wanted to admit. The words hit like bullets. Olivia felt something inside her chest a crack. So that's it. One obstacle and you're ready to give up. I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic. He turned away, unable to look at her. You need to go be the CEO. Handle your board. Save your company. And I need to go home and convince my daughter that I haven't lost my mind. And us, the pause before he answered, told her everything. I don't know, Liv. I honestly don't know. She left the shop with her vision blurred by tears, got in her rental car, and drove back to Charlotte without saying goodbye. The 6-hour drive passed in a haze of pain and regret. She'd found him. After 33 years of searching, she'd found Jamie Mitchell. And she was losing him again because she couldn't figure out how to bridge the gap between who she was and who she needed to be. The Hartford Tech Consulting boardroom occupied the entire 23rd floor of the building Olivia had purchased 5 years ago. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered views of Charlotte's skyline. The conference table was imported Italian marble. The chairs cost more than most people's monthly rent. This was her kingdom, the empire she'd built from nothing. And sitting around that table on Thursday morning were 11 people who wanted to take it away from her. Robert Hayes sat at the far end, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, with the kind of smug expression that made Olivia want to throw something. He'd been pushing for more control since he joined the board 2 years ago, citing his experience turning around struggling tech companies. Never mind that Hartford Tech wasn't struggling. Never mind that Olivia had grown the company by 40% in the last 3 years alone. Hayes cleared his throat. Thank you all for coming on such short notice. I know this is unusual, but recent events have made it necessary. Olivia kept her face neutral. If you have concerns, Robert, you could have called me directly. I tried multiple times. You were unavailable. His tone made it clear what he thought of her availability. Which brings us to the reason for this meeting. Over the past week, you've been absent from the office more than you've been present. You've missed critical meetings with Goldman Sachs, pushed back the Mercer acquisition discussion, and generally demonstrated a lack of commitment to your responsibilities as CEO. Sarah jumped in before Olivia could respond. Liv has been working remotely. All her obligations have been met. Remote work isn't the same as being present. Hayes cut her off. Leadership requires showing up, being visible, demonstrating to our employees and shareholders that you're invested in this company's success. Olivia leaned forward, letting steel enter her voice. My track record speaks for itself. Under my leadership, Hartford Tech has grown from a startup in my apartment to a billion-dollar company. We've never had a losing quarter. Employee satisfaction is at an all-time high. Client retention is 94%. She paused, making sure every board member was paying attention. So forgive me if I don't feel the need to defend taking a few personal days after 15 years of uninterrupted service. Personal days are fine. Hayes smiled, and there was nothing warm in it. But when those personal days interfere with your ability to do your job, it becomes a board matter. What exactly are you proposing? A motion of no confidence. To be voted on today? He pulled out a document, sliding it across the table. If passed, you would step down as CEO. Sarah Chen would assume interim leadership while we conduct a search for your replacement. The room went silent. Olivia looked at Sarah, who'd gone pale, looked at the other board members trying to read their positions. 4 were Hayes loyalists, 3 were her supporters, 4 were swing votes. She could lose this. The realization settled into her bones like ice. After everything she had built, everything she'd sacrificed, she could actually lose her company because she'd taken a week to chase down a 33-year-old memory. Olivia stood, drawing all eyes to her. Before you vote, I want to say something. She paused, gathering her thoughts. I started this company with nothing but an idea and a laptop. For 15 years, I've poured everything into it. Missed weddings, missed funerals, missed any chance at having a life outside these walls. Her voice strengthened. And you know what I realized this week? I've been measuring my worth by the wrong metrics. Success isn't just about quarterly earnings and market share. It's about building something meaningful, having people in your life who matter more than profit margins. Hayes leaned back, crossing his arms. That's very poetic, Olivia, but sentiment doesn't run a company. No, but passion does, vision does, and I'm the only person in this room who has both for Hartford Tech. She looked at each board member in turn. So here is what's going to happen. You can vote your motion of no confidence, and if it passes, I'll step down. But I'll also cash out my majority stake, which will tank your stock price and probably trigger a mass exodus of our top talent who signed on because they believed in my leadership. Sarah's eyes widened. Olivia had never threatened to walk before, never even hinted at it. Or, Olivia continued, you can table this motion and give me the space to restructure my work arrangement. I'll remain CEO. I'll attend all critical meetings, but I'll do some of it remotely because I'm finally allowing myself to have a life outside this office. Hayes' smile was pure condescension. And if we don't agree to that, then you'll learn what this company is worth without me. Olivia gathered her things. I'll give you 15 minutes to decide. I'll be in my office. She walked out before anyone could respond, her heels clicking on the marble floor with a confidence she didn't entirely feel. In her office, she collapsed into her chair and let her hands shake. Sarah appeared in the doorway 5 minutes later. That was either brilliant or career suicide. Which one are you betting on? With you always brilliant. Sarah closed the door behind her. But Liv, are you sure about this? You're risking everything for a man you've known for less than a week. I've known him for 33 years. I just lost him for most of them. Olivia rubbed her temples. And I'm not doing this just for Jamie. I'm doing it for me. Because I'm 50 years old and I'm tired of living like I have nothing to lose when the truth is I've already lost the things that matter most. What if Hayes calls your bluff? Then I'll know I built something that can't survive without me micromanaging every detail. which means I failed anyway. Olivia looked at her friend. What would you do if you were me? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I'd probably have done what you did 15 years ago. Put my head down, worked harder, proved I was indispensable. She smiled sadly. But I've also never been in love, not the way you describe it. So maybe I'm not the right person to ask. The phone on Olivia's desk buzzed, Hayes requesting her return to the boardroom. She stood, straightened her suit jacket, and walked back into the room where her future would be decided. Hayes was standing at the head of the table. We've discussed your proposal. Olivia waited, refusing to show fear. The board has agreed to table the motion of no confidence, temporarily. Hayes's expression made it clear this wasn't his preferred outcome. You'll work with Sarah to establish clear expectations for your remote work arrangements. All critical meetings still require your physical presence. And we'll revisit this discussion in 90 days to ensure the new arrangement is working. It wasn't a victory, but it wasn't a defeat either. Olivia nodded. Thank you. She made it back to her office before her knees gave out. 90 days. She had 90 days to prove she could have both the company and the life. 3 months to figure out how to bridge the gap between Charlotte and Pine Ridge. 3 months to win back the man she'd just pushed away. Her phone rang, Jamie's number. Her heart leapt into her throat as she answered. But it wasn't Jamie's voice. It was Megan's. Miss Hartford, you need to come back. It's my dad. He's in the hospital. The drive from Charlotte to Pine Ridge had never felt longer. Olivia pushed the rental car past every speed limit, her hands white-knuckled on the steering wheel, Megan's words echoing in her head. Accident at the shop, hydraulic lift malfunction. He's stable, but they're keeping him overnight for observation. She'd asked if Jamie had called her himself. Megan's silence had been answer enough. Pine Ridge Medical Center was a small facility, more clinic than hospital, but the ER was efficient. Olivia found Megan in the waiting room, still in her school clothes, her face blotchy from crying. The teenager looked up as Olivia approached, and something complicated passed across her features. Where is he? Room 4. They're running more tests. Megan's voice was small, younger than her, 16 years. One of the hydraulic lifts had a failure. He was under a car when it started dropping. Danny managed to hit the emergency release and pull him out, but his leg... Is he going to be okay? They think so. Sprained knee, bruised ribs, possible hairline fracture in his shin, but he won't be able to work for at least 8 weeks. The implications hung heavy. No work meant no income. Bills piling up. The shop closed. Olivia moved toward room 4, but Megan's voice stopped her. He said your name when they were putting him in the ambulance. That's why I called. Their eyes met, and Olivia saw past the hostility to the scared child underneath. Thank you for letting me know. Jamie was sitting up in the hospital bed when she entered, his right leg elevated and wrapped in a temporary brace. His face was pale, jaw tight with pain he was clearly trying to hide. When he saw her, something in his expression cracked. You came back. Olivia crossed the room in 3 strides, taking his hand carefully. Of course I came back. Megan called and said you were hurt. It's not that bad, just a sprain, some bruising. They're being overcautious. Jamie, you could have been killed. But I wasn't. He squeezed her hand. The equipment's been getting temperamental. I should have replaced that lift weeks ago, but I couldn't afford the parts. The admission hung between them. Couldn't afford. This was Jamie's life, choosing between safety and solvency, between fixing equipment and paying bills. And Olivia had the resources to solve all of it with a phone call, but she knew better than to offer. His pride wouldn't allow it. How was the board meeting? She couldn't believe he was asking about that now. They tabled the motion, gave me 90 days to prove I can work remotely. That's good. His voice was flat, and she knew he was doing the math. 90 days, 3 months, not exactly a foundation to build a relationship on. Jamie, about yesterday? Don't. He looked away. You were right. This is complicated, too complicated. I wasn't right. I was scared. Olivia gripped his hand tighter. Jessica got in my head, made me doubt everything. But I shouldn't have let her. She wasn't wrong though, was she? Jamie's voice was rough. We're from different worlds. You've got a company to run a life in Charlotte. I've got a failing business and a daughter who hates you. How is this supposed to work? I don't know yet, but I know I'm not giving up. She forced him to look at her. Are you? The silence stretched too long. Finally, Jamie said, I'm 52 years old, Liv. I'm drowning in debt. I just got injured and now I can't work for 8 weeks, which means I'm going to lose the shop, lose everything my father built. And I can't ask you to hitch yourself to that. You're not asking, I'm offering. It wouldn't be fair to you. Let me decide what's fair to me. Her voice turned fierce. You think I care about the debt, the struggling business? I've got more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. What I don't have is you. What I don't have is this. But Jamie was shaking his head. And that's exactly the problem. You can solve everything with money. Fix the shop, pay off the loans, make it all go away. But I can't let you do that. Why not? Because then what am I? The pain in his voice went deeper than his injured leg. I'm just some guy you rescued, some charity case. How am I supposed to look at myself in the mirror if I let you save me? Olivia felt tears burning. So you'd rather lose everything, including me? I'd rather lose everything than lose my self-respect. Jamie pulled his hand free. I'm sorry, Liv, I really am. But I can't be the man you need me to be. I can't accept your help, and I can't offer you anything except problems. Jamie, you should go. His voice was gentle but final. The board gave you 90 days. You should use them to focus on your company. That's what matters. You matter. The words came out broken. You've always mattered. 33 years ago, maybe. But now, he looked at her with eyes full of regret. Now we're just two people who met too late, who wanted something that life won't let us have. Olivia stood there feeling her heart shatter all over again. This was it. The second time she'd lose Jamie Mitchell. Only this time she knew exactly what she was losing. Knew exactly how much it would hurt. I won't stop fighting for this. Her voice was steady despite the tears. For you, for us. Then you're fighting alone. Jamie closed his eyes. Because I can't do this anymore. I can't keep hoping for something that's never going to work. She left the hospital room before he could see her completely fall apart. Found Megan still in the waiting room, still scared and young and angry. He sent you away, didn't he? Olivia nodded, not trusting her voice. Good. But Megan's eyes were wet. You don't belong here anyway. Maybe she was right. Maybe Olivia Hartford, with her billion-dollar company and her penthouse and her carefully constructed life, didn't belong in a small mountain town with a struggling mechanic and his angry daughter. Maybe some loves were meant to stay in the past, frozen at that perfect moment before reality could tear them apart. But as Olivia drove back to Charlotte for the second time in 2 days, she made herself a promise. She'd give Jamie his space, let him handle his pride and his problems in whatever way he needed to. But she wouldn't give up. Not again. Not after 33 years. Because some things were worth fighting for. Even if you had to fight alone. Part 3. 8 weeks after walking out of Jamie Mitchell's hospital room, Olivia Hartford sat in her corner office overlooking Charlotte and tried to remember why success had ever felt like enough. The Goldman Sachs deal had closed. The Mercer acquisition was moving forward. Her stock price had hit an all-time high, and she felt absolutely nothing. Sarah dropped a folder on her desk. Latest earnings report, we're up 18% from last quarter. Olivia barely glanced at it. Great. You want to tell me what's wrong? And don't say nothing because you've been a zombie for 8 weeks. I'm fine, just tired. Sarah pulled up a chair, settling in with the determination of someone who wouldn't be dismissed easily. You drove to Pine Ridge every weekend for the past 2 months. Each time you come back, looking worse. So either tell me what's happening or I'm staging an intervention. Olivia's laugh was bitter. There's nothing to intervene in. I go. I check on him from a distance, make sure he's healing, and I leave before he knows I was there. That's not healthy. Neither is losing him twice. Olivia finally looked at her friend. Marcus keeps me updated. Jamie's leg is healing, but the shop is hemorrhaging money. He's behind on rent. The bank started foreclosure proceedings last week, and I can't help because his pride won't let him accept anything from me. Have you talked to him? He won't take my calls. The admission hurt. I've tried 12 times. He sends them to voicemail. Megan won't talk to me either. I'm persona non grata in Pine Ridge. Sarah was quiet for a moment, then, so you're just going to give up? What choice do I have? He made it clear he doesn't want me in his life. The Olivia Hartford I know doesn't take no for an answer. She finds another way. Sarah stood. But maybe this version of you is too scared to fight for what she wants. The words stung because they were true. Olivia had built an empire by refusing to accept defeat. She'd overcome every obstacle through sheer determination. But when it came to Jamie, she'd retreated at the first real resistance. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number, Pine Ridge area code. Her heart leapt before she could stop it. The voice wasn't Jamie's. It was Danny, his young employee. Miss Hartford, I know I'm not supposed to call you, but it's bad, really bad. Jamie's at the bank right now. They're giving him until close of business today to come up with 3 months back rent plus the loan payment. If he can't, they're seizing all the equipment tomorrow morning. Olivia was on her feet before Danny finished. When does the bank close? 5 o'clock. It's 3:30 now. She checked her watch. Even if she left immediately, she couldn't make it to Pine Ridge before the bank closed. How much does he need? $120,000 for the loan, plus back rent, utilities, vendor payments. Probably closer to $150 total. Danny's voice cracked. He won't ask you for help. Marcus tried to convince him, but he's being stubborn. Says he'd rather lose it all than compromise his principles. Principles. The word tasted like ash. Jamie would rather destroy himself than accept help from the woman who loved him. Olivia grabbed her keys. I'll handle it. He's going to be pissed when he finds out. Let him be pissed. At least he'll still have his father's shop. The drive to Pine Ridge took 4 hours because she hit traffic coming out of Charlotte. By the time she reached the First National Bank of Pine Ridge, it was 7:15. The bank was dark closed. She'd missed the deadline. Marcus found her sitting in her car outside the locked building. He tapped on the window and she rolled it down, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. They took it. Everything. Sent a truck an hour ago. His weathered face was grim. Jamie watched them load up his father's tools and then he went home. Haven't heard from him since. I was too late. You tried. That's more than he'd let anyone else do. Marcus leaned against her car. You want my advice? Stop trying to save him and start making him save himself. Man's got too much pride for his own good. Always has. How am I supposed to do that when he won't even talk to me? Maybe you're talking to the wrong person. Marcus's eyes flicked towards something behind her. Maybe you need to talk to the one person in this town who has more influence over Jamie Mitchell than anyone. Olivia turned. Megan stood on the sidewalk, backpack slung over one shoulder, watching them with an unreadable expression. They sat in Marcus's diner after he closed for the night, the three of them in a corner booth. Megan hadn't said a word since agreeing to come inside. She pushed a slice of pie around her plate, not eating, just creating patterns in the whipped cream. Olivia broke the silence. Your father lost the shop today. I know. He came home and locked himself in his room. Won't talk to me. Megan's voice was flat. Says we'll figure it out, like we always do, Mom. Do you believe him? No, the admission came out small. He's been lying to me for months, pretending everything's fine when really we're drowning. The rent's overdue, utilities are getting shut off, we might lose the house next. She finally looked up. And I know you could fix it all with like one phone call, but he won't let you. Would you want me to? If you could decide. Megan was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice carried a weight beyond her years. My mom left when I was too young to remember. But Dad told me about it. How she said this life wasn't enough for her. How she wanted more than a mechanic in a small town could give. She met Olivia's eyes. That's what I thought you were. Another woman who'd realize we weren't enough. And now I see how miserable he is without you. How he sits on the porch every night like he's waiting for someone who isn't coming. Megan's jaw tightened. I've been angry at you because I thought you'd hurt him. But maybe the person hurting him is me, because I'm the reason he won't accept your help. Olivia's chest constricted. What do you mean? He says he can't let me see him as someone who needs rescuing. Says a father's job is to provide for his daughter, not the other way around. A tear slid down Megan's cheek. But I don't care about that. I just want him to be happy. And he was happy with you. For like 3 days, the happiest I've ever seen him. Marcus cleared his throat. Kid's right. Jamie's been walking around like a ghost since you left. Man's lost everything, and the only thing he seems to care about is that he lost you too. Then why won't he call me? Because he's ashamed. Megan wiped her eyes roughly. He thinks he failed. At the business at providing at being someone worthy of you. She leaned forward. But here's the thing, Ms. Hartford. My dad is the best person I know. He raised me alone, taught me everything worth knowing. Never complained, never gave up, never stopped her trying. If anyone's worthy, it's him. The words landed like a punch. Olivia felt her own tears start. I know that. I've always known that. Then prove it. Megan's voice turned hard. Stop trying to save him with money. Show him he doesn't need saving. Show him that you want him, not some perfect version of him without problems. How? I don't know. You're the genius CEO. Figure it out. Megan stood slinging her backpack over her shoulder. But do it fast because Jessica's been sniffing around again. Showed up at the house yesterday talking about custody and how I deserve a mother who can provide stability. Olivia's blood ran cold. She wouldn't. She would. Dad told her to leave, but she's persistent. Says she's retained a lawyer. Megan's expression turned fierce. So yeah, clock's ticking, Ms. Hartford. Either you fix this or we all lose. The teenager left the diner door chiming behind her. Marcus refilled Olivia's coffee, though she hadn't touched the first cup. That girl's tougher than she looks. She gets it from her father. Olivia stared into the dark liquid. Marcus, I don't know what to do. Everything I try just makes it worse. You know what Jamie told me once, after his daddy died? Marcus settled into the booth Megan had vacated. He said the worst part wasn't losing his father. It was inheriting the debt and realizing he might lose the shop anyway. Felt like his dad had trusted him with something precious and he was going to screw it up. What did he do? Worked his ass off, 70, 80-hour weeks, took every job that came in, built up the business until he'd paid off every cent. Marcus's eyes were kind. Point is, Jamie doesn't need someone to save him. He needs someone to believe in him while he saves himself. You following? The idea formed, slowly taking shape as Olivia turned it over in her mind. I think so. Good, because you two are meant for each other, and I'm tired of watching you both suffer out of stubbornness. Marcus stood. Now get out of my diner and go fix your life. The small business loan office in Charlotte wasn't glamorous. Third floor of a dated building, fluorescent lights humming overhead, walls the color of old oatmeal. Olivia sat across from a loan officer named Patricia Chen, no relation to Sarah, and laid out her proposal. I want to co-sign a business loan for Mitchell Auto Repair in Pine Ridge. Patricia pulled up something on her computer. Says here they defaulted on their previous loan. Foreclosure proceedings completed last week. That's going to make approval difficult. What if the business had new collateral, new equipment, updated facility, proven revenue stream? We'd need to see a solid business plan, financial projections, references. Olivia slid a folder across the desk. I took the liberty of preparing one. The business plan had taken her 3 sleepless nights to complete. She'd analyzed every aspect of Mitchell Auto Repair, customer-based service offerings, pricing structure, competition. The conclusion was clear: the business was fundamentally sound. Jamie just needed capital to modernize and breathing room to grow. Patricia flipped through the pages, her expression shifting from skeptical to interested. This is comprehensive. But you understand, even with a cosigner, the primary borrower needs to qualify, needs to agree to the terms. I know. That's why I'm not telling him about it until after the loan is approved. That's unconventional. So is my entire situation. Olivia leaned forward. Look, the borrower is stubborn and proud. He won't accept help even when he's drowning. But if you approve the loan and I present it to him as a business opportunity rather than charity, he might actually consider it. Patricia was quiet, studying the business plan. You've put his daughter down as a potential employee. Says here she wants to study mechanical engineering. She's brilliant, honor student. If she works part-time at the shop during college, she can learn the practical side while getting her degree. Then come back and help modernize the business. You've thought of everything. I've had a lot of time to think. Olivia's voice softened. This man means everything to me, but I can't help him the way I want to. So I'm trying to help him help himself. Patricia closed the folder. I'll need to run his credit, get financial statements, do proper due diligence. This could take 2 to 3 weeks. Whatever you need, just tell me if it's possible. 3 weeks later, Patricia called with news. The loan was approved. $150,000 at a reasonable interest rate, co-signed by Olivia Hartford, but structured as a business loan in James Mitchell's name. He could accept it or reject it. The choice was his. Now came the hard part. Olivia drove to Pine Ridge on a Thursday afternoon, timing her arrival for when she knew Jamie would be home. The small rental house looked shabbier than she remembered, paint peeling, worse porch sagging more. Jamie's truck sat in the driveway covered in a fresh layer of road dust. She sat in her car for 10 minutes, building courage. Then Megan appeared on the porch with arms crossed and jerked her head toward the house. Permission granted. Jamie answered the door on the third knock. He looked terrible, unshaven, thinner dark circles under his eyes like bruises. He was walking without a limp now, at least. The leg had healed. When he saw her, something flashed across his face too quickly to name. Liv, what are you doing here? We need to talk. I don't think... Jamie, please, 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. He hesitated, then stepped back to let her in. The living room was sparse but clean, a couch with worn cushions, a coffee table covered in mechanical engineering textbooks. Megan's clearly, photos on the wall of Jamie and his daughter through the years, a life built with love, if not money. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, the space between them feeling like miles. Olivia pulled out the loan documents. I went to a bank in Charlotte, got you approved for a business loan. Jamie's expression hardened. I told you I don't want your money. It's not my money, it's a loan, in your name. You'd be responsible for paying it back. She pushed the papers toward him. I co-signed so you'd get approved, but the debt is yours. The business would be yours. The success or failure is entirely on you. He picked up the documents, scanning them with growing disbelief. 150,000. Liv, I can't. Yes, you can. The bank believes in you. I believe in you. She met his eyes. Use it to buy back your equipment. Lease a new space. Modernize the shop. You could even hire Megan part-time so she learns the business while she's in college. This is insane. This is business, pure and simple. Olivia kept her voice steady. You're a skilled mechanic with a loyal customer base. You just need capital. I'm offering it, not as charity, as an investment. Jamie set the papers down carefully like they might explode. And what happens when this doesn't work out between us? You'll own half my business. The question cut, but she'd expected, earned it. I'm not asking for equity. This is a straight loan. You pay it back over 10 years at 4% interest. If we work out, great. If we don't, she swallowed hard. If we don't, you still get to rebuild what your father started. Megan still gets to learn from you. The shop still survives. Why would you do this? Because Marcus was right. You don't need saving. You never did. Olivia's voice cracked. You need someone who believes in you, who sees your worth. And Jamie, I've seen it since I was 17 years old. I've measured every success against that night when you made me feel like I mattered, when you showed me what a good man looks like. He was shaking his head before she finished. I can't accept this. Why not? Because I'll mess it up. I'll fail, and then I'll owe you money on top of everything else, and you won't fail. Olivia moved closer, taking his hands in hers. You're the most determined, hardworking person I've ever met. You raised an incredible daughter alone. You kept your father's business running for years despite impossible odds. You don't fail, Jamie. You just need a fighting chance. His resistance was crumbling. She could see it in the way his jaw worked, the tears building in his eyes. What if I take this and we still don't work? What if the distance is too much? Or Megan never accepts you, or then at least we tried. She squeezed his hands. And at least you didn't lose your father's legacy because you were too proud to accept help. The tears spilled over. Jamie pulled his hands free to scrub them across his face. I don't know how to do this, how to accept help without feeling like I'm weak. Strength isn't doing everything alone. It's knowing when to accept support. Olivia's voice turned fierce. My whole life I thought I had to be self-sufficient. Had to prove I didn't need anyone. And it made me successful, but it also made me miserable. Don't make the same mistake. Jamie looked at the loan documents, then at her, then back at the papers. The internal battle played out across his features, pride warring with practicality, fear fighting hope. Finally, he picked up the pen. If I do this, we do it right. I pay every cent back, with interest. I wouldn't have it any other way. And you stop trying to rescue me. I'm not a project. You never were. He signed his name at the bottom of the first page, then the second, working through the stack with shaking hands. When he finished, he set the pen down and looked at her with raw vulnerability. I've been miserable without you. These 8 weeks have been hell. Then stop pushing me away. I don't know how to let you in without losing myself. Olivia cupped his face in her hands. You don't have to lose yourself. You just have to make room for someone else. She kissed him softly. We'll figure out the logistics. The distance, the business, the daughter. We'll figure it all out together. Jamie kissed her back deeper, this time pouring weeks of loneliness and fear and longing into it. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. I'm sorry for pushing you away, for being too proud to see what you were offering. I'm sorry, too, for trying to solve everything with money instead of trusting you to solve it yourself. They sat there holding each other, rebuilding the bridge they'd both nearly burned. Megan appeared in the doorway, backpack over one shoulder, keys in hand. I'm going to Dylan's to study. I'll be back late. She paused. Really late. Like really, really late. The subtext was clear. Olivia felt heat rise in her cheeks. Jamie laughed, the sound rusty but genuine. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. That leaves me a lot of options, old man. Megan grinned and it transformed her face. Hey, Ms. Hartford. Call me Olivia, please. Okay, Olivia. The name came out tentative. Thanks for the loan thing, for not giving up on him. She shifted her weight, for not giving up on us. I couldn't if I tried. After Megan left, Jamie and Olivia sat in the quiet house, fingers intertwined. She's warming up to you. Progress. Olivia leaned her head on his shoulder. Now we just have to figure out how to make the rest of this work. I was thinking about that. During the weeks you were gone, Jamie stroked his thumb across her knuckles. What if you moved here to Pine Ridge? The suggestion should have been impossible. She had a company to run, a life in Charlotte, responsibilities that couldn't be abandoned. But sitting in this modest house with this man who'd owned her heart for 33 years, it didn't feel impossible at all. My board gave me 90 days to prove I can work remotely. I've only used 2 months of that. What if I spent the rest here, see if it works? Shows. You'd do that. I'd do anything to be with you. She lifted her head to look at him. But we do it smart. I keep my apartment in Charlotte for when I need to be in the office. You rebuild the shop. We take it slow, figure out how to blend our lives without destroying them. Jamie's smile was tentative but real. Slow. I can do the slow. Good, because we've already rushed this twice and look where it got us. She kissed him again. 3rd time's the charm. The board meeting 2 months later was tense. Robert Hayes had spent the entire quarter documenting every instance of Olivia's remote work, building his case that she was neglecting her duties. Now he sat at the head of the conference table with a stack of evidence and a satisfied smirk. 86 days. That's how long you've been splitting your time between Charlotte and Pine Ridge. Ema Hayes slid a chart across the table. During that time, you've missed 14 in-person meetings, delayed 3 major decisions, and generally demonstrated that you're more interested in your personal life than this company. Sarah jumped in. All of Olivia's obligations have been met. Every deadline hit. The Mercer acquisition closed ahead of schedule. Goldman Sachs signed a 3-year extension. We're having our best quarter in company history. None of which negates the fact that she's not present. Hayes leaned back confident. Leadership is about more than hitting numbers. It's about being there, showing your team you're invested. Olivia had heard enough. She stood, drawing all eyes to her. You're right, Robert. Leadership is about being present. It's also about knowing what matters and having the courage to prioritize it. So you admit you've been prioritizing your personal life over this company. I'm prioritizing my entire life, not just the part that generates quarterly earnings. She looked around the table at each board member. For 15 years, I gave Hartford Tech everything. Missed my own father's funeral because we had a product launch. Worked through pneumonia because we were closing a deal. Sacrificed any chance at happiness because I thought that's what success required. Hayes's smirk faltered. Olivia pressed on. And you know what I realized? A company that can't survive without its CEO working 70 hours a week is fragile. A leadership team that can't handle 3 days a week of remote work is weak. Her voice strengthened. I've built something better than that. I've built a company with depth, with talent, with systems that don't require my constant presence. That's a very pretty speech. I'm not finished. She cut Hayes off with a look that could freeze nitrogen. Over the past 2 months, I've proven that Hartford Tech runs just fine with me working remotely 3 days a week. Our metrics are up across the board. Employee satisfaction has actually increased because my leadership team has room to lead, and Sarah has stepped into a larger role that showcases her capabilities. Sarah looked startled but pleased. Olivia continued, so here's what's going to happen. You can pass your motion of no confidence, and I'll step down. I'll also sell my shares to a competitor who's been trying to acquire us for years. She paused, letting that sink in. Or you can approve my work arrangement permanently. Let me run this company the way it should be run, with balance, with perspective, with the understanding that the people who work here are humans who deserve lives outside these walls. The room went silent. Hayes's face had gone red. You're bluffing. Try me. I'm 50 years old and I finally have something more important than quarterly earnings. You think I won't walk away? Olivia smiled. The question is, are you willing to destroy this company just to prove a point? She gathered her things and walked out before anyone could respond. In her office, she collapsed into her chair and let her hands shake. She'd just gambled everything on a bluff that wasn't entirely a bluff. The competitor offer was real. The willingness to walk away was real. But the fear of losing what she'd built was also real. Sarah burst through the door 15 minutes later. They want you back. And Hayes withdrew his motion. The board voted unanimously to approve your work arrangement. Permanently. Sarah grinned. You magnificent, terrifying woman. Olivia felt tears of relief. I didn't think they'd go for it. Are you kidding? Half of them want to know if they can work remotely too. Sarah sat down, her expression turning serious. But Liv, you need to know. Hayes is going to keep gunning for you. This isn't over. Let him. I'm done living in fear of men like Robert Hayes. Olivia stood, energy flooding through her. I have a company to run and a life to live. He can either get on board or get out of my way. She left the office at 3 that afternoon, something she'd never done in 15 years. Drove straight to Pine Ridge, watching the mountains rise up to meet her as the city fell away behind. Her phone rang halfway there. Unknown number. Mrs. Hartford, this is Attorney David Park. I represent Jessica Drake in a custody matter regarding minor child Megan Mitchell. Olivia's stomach dropped. What do you want? My client is prepared to file for partial custody. She's established stability, maintained employment, and completed parenting classes. She has a strong case. Park's voice was professionally neutral. However, she's willing to forego legal action if certain financial considerations are met. How much? $200,000, payable immediately. The number should have shocked her. Instead, Olivia felt cold clarity. Tell your client she can take her extortion attempt and shove it. I have lawyers too. Better ones. And if she comes near that family, I'll bury her in litigation for the rest of her miserable life. She hung up before Park could respond. Called her own attorney, a shark named Rebecca Winters, who specialized in family law. I need you to preemptively file for a protective order. Jessica Drake is threatening the Mitchell family. Get ahead of it. Rebecca didn't ask questions, just said she'd handle it. Olivia had learned long ago that the best defense against people like Jessica was overwhelming force applied without hesitation. Money couldn't buy happiness, but it could buy protection. The new Mitchell Auto Repair Shop was smaller than the original, but newer with fresh paint and updated equipment. Jamie had negotiated a 5-year lease on a space 2 blocks from Main Street, close enough to his old location to keep his customer base, but cheap enough to manage. The hydraulic lifts were new, purchased with part of the loan. The tools were his father's, bought back from the bank at auction. Olivia arrived to find Jamie under a Toyota Camry Megan, handing him tools with practiced efficiency. It was Saturday and the teenager was working her first official shift. Socket wrench, 3/4 inch. Megan slapped the tool into his outstretched hand. You know they make electric impact wrenches now. Would save you like 20 minutes. And cost $300 I don't have budgeted yet. Jamie's voice echoed from under the car. Patience, kiddo, we'll get there. Fine, but when I take over this place, first thing I'm buying is proper equipment. When you take over, Jamie rolled out from under the car, grinning, getting a little ahead of yourself. I'm 16. That means 8 years until I graduate college. 8 years for you to pay off the loan and build this place up so it's actually worth inheriting. Megan grabbed a rag wiping grease from her hands. I'm thinking long-term, old man. The exchange was so natural, so easy, that Olivia felt her throat tighten. This was what she'd wanted to see, them happy to see the future opening up instead of closing down. Jamie spotted her and his whole face changed. Hey, you're early. Finished early. Figured I'd see how the first week went. Come see. He grabbed her hand, pulling her through the shop. Every surface gleamed. The organizational system was meticulous. In the small office, a computer hummed on a desk that looked like it had been salvaged from somewhere but worked fine. Booked solid for the next 2 weeks. Word got around that I'm back in business. That's wonderful. It's better than wonderful. It's possible. He pulled her close, mindless of the grease on his hands. You made this possible. You made it possible. I just believed in you. Megan cleared her throat from the doorway. Okay, you two are cute and all, but we have 3 more cars to finish before closing. Less kissing, more working. They broke apart, laughing. Olivia picked up a rag. Put me to work. You're a CEO. You don't know how to change oil. Then teach me. She tied her hair back. I'm here 3 days a week. Might as well learn the family business. The next 4 hours passed in a blur of activity. Olivia learned that changing oil was harder than it looked, that tire rotation required actual muscle, that her expensive manicure was a casualty of honest work, and she'd never been happier. They closed the shop at 6. Megan headed to a friend's house, leaving Jamie and Olivia to clean up. They worked in comfortable silence, putting tools away, sweeping the floor, turning off lights. When they finished, Jamie pulled Olivia into the small office. I got a call from Jessica's lawyer yesterday. He said the case was being dropped. Rebecca works fast. Rebecca Bowe, my attorney. She filed a protective order citing harassment and extortion. Turns out Jessica's lawyer didn't know she was blackmailing us. He dropped her as a client when he found out. Olivia leaned against the desk. She won't bother you again? I made sure of it. Jamie was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, thank you for protecting us, for protecting Megan. She's important to you. That makes her important to me. She's warming up to you. Did you notice she actually smiled at you today? Baby steps. Olivia pulled him closer. We've got time. He kissed her thoroughly, taking his time, making it clear exactly what he was feeling. When they finally broke apart, his eyes were dark with intent. Come home with me. I was planning on it. No, I mean, he cupped her face. Move in with me, officially, not just visiting 3 days a week. Make Pine Ridge your home base. The invitation hung between them, enormous and terrifying, and exactly what she wanted. Jamie, are you sure that's a big step? I've never been more sure of anything. I love you, Liv. I've loved you since that night 33 years ago. I've loved you through every failed relationship and every lonely year. And I don't want to spend another day without you if I don't have to. She felt tears start. I love you too. I never stopped. So say yes, move in with me and Megan. Be part of this life. Let me be part of yours. What about Megan? Shouldn't we ask her first? Well, already did. She said, and I quote, about time, old man. I was getting tired of watching you mope around. He smiled. She likes you. She just has a weird way of showing it. Olivia laughed through her tears. Then yes, I'll move in with you. Jamie kissed her again, and this time it was a promise. A commitment to figure out the details, to navigate the complications, to build something together that neither of them could build alone. 6 months later, Olivia Hartford stood in the kitchen of the house she'd bought in Pine Ridge, bigger than Jamie's rental, with enough room for all of them, and an office where she could work, and watched her life unfold in real time. Megan sat at the kitchen table working through college applications with fierce concentration. She'd be applying to MIT in the fall with backup applications to Georgia Tech and Purdue. Her grades were perfect. Her essay about learning mechanical engineering from her father while he rebuilt his business from nothing was devastating in its honesty. Jamie stood at the stove attempting to cook something more complex than spaghetti with Olivia's patient coaching. He'd gotten better over the months, though he'd never be a chef. That was fine. She couldn't change oil without making a mess. They were learning together. Sarah was visiting for the weekend, sitting at the counter with a glass of wine and a bemused expression. I still can't believe you actually did it. Moved to a town of 8,000 people. I didn't just move, I built a life. Olivia gestured around the kitchen. This is real. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes I want to strangle both of them, but it's real. And the company, thriving. You're doing an incredible job as COO. The remote arrangement works. Turns out I was micromanaging everything to death before. Olivia grinned. Who knew delegating was actually effective? Megan looked up from her applications. Did you just admit you were wrong about something? Don't get used to it. The doorbell rang. Jamie went to answer it and came back with Marcus, who'd become a regular fixture at their Sunday dinners. The old man had appointed himself their unofficial relationship counselor, offering wisdom whether they wanted it or not. How's the happy family? We're good, Jamie said, and meant it. The shop was profitable. The loan payments were manageable. Megan had accepted Olivia enough to occasionally ask for advice on college essays and career planning. Life wasn't perfect, but it was good. They ate dinner together, the five of them crammed around a table, built for four passing dishes, and arguing good-naturedly about everything from politics to the best pie at Marcus's diner. This was what Olivia had been missing for 33 years: connection, belonging, the messy reality of caring about people who cared about you back. After dinner, after Sarah and Marcus left and Megan retreated to her room to video chat with friends, Jamie pulled Olivia onto the back porch. Stars scattered across the sky in a way they never did in Charlotte. The mountain air carried the scent of pine and approaching autumn. He handed her a small velvet box. Olivia's breath caught. Jamie, before you panic, just look. Inside was a ring, simple gold band with a single diamond, modest but beautiful. The kind of ring that said, I love you without screaming, I'm expensive. I know we said we'd take it slow, and we have. 6 months of figuring out how to live together, how to blend our lives. His voice was steady, sure. But Liv, I'm 52 years old. I don't want slow anymore. I want you. Officially. Forever. Tears blurred her vision. Are you asking what I think you're asking? Marry me. Make this permanent. Make me the luckiest man alive. He took the ring from the box, holding it up. I can't promise you perfect. Can't promise easy. But I can promise you real. Honest. Love that's been waiting 33 years to finally get it right. Olivia's hands shook as she held them out. Yes. God, yes. He slid the ring onto her finger and it fit perfectly, like it had been waiting for her all along. They kissed under the stars, two people who'd lost each other and found each other, and learned that some loves are worth fighting for no matter how long it takes. Inside the house, Megan watched through the window and smiled. Then she pulled out her phone and texted Dylan. They're engaged. Took them long enough. Dylan responded immediately. Your stepmom's a CEO, though. Does this mean you're rich now? Megan thought about it. Thought about the modest house and the struggling shop and the man who'd raised her with nothing but love and determination. Thought about the woman who'd fought her way into their lives and refused to leave even when it would have been easier. She typed back, nah. But I'm happy. Which is better? The wedding was small, held in the park in Pine Ridge, where Jamie had first confessed he still remembered that night 33 years ago. Marcus officiated, having gotten ordained online specifically for this purpose. Megan served as maid of honor, wearing a dress she'd actually picked out herself without complaining. Sarah stood as Olivia's witness, wiping away tears she'd later deny crying. Olivia wore a simple white dress, no veil, no elaborate train. Jamie wore his best suit, the one he'd bought for Megan's 8th grade graduation, and had only worn twice since. They spoke vows they'd written themselves, promising to choose each other every day, to fight for each other when it got hard, to never let pride or fear or stubbornness tear apart what had taken so long to build. When Marcus pronounced them married, the small crowd of friends and neighbors erupted in applause. Jamie kissed his wife thoroughly, not caring who was watching. Olivia kissed him back, tasting salt from her own tears, feeling complete for the first time in 33 years. The reception was held at Marcus's diner, which he'd closed for the occasion. They ate too much pie and danced to songs from a playlist Megan had created, mixing Jamie's favorite classic rock with Olivia's guilty pleasure pop. As the sun set and the party wound down, Jamie pulled Olivia outside. They stood in the parking lot, her head on his shoulder, watching the mountains turn purple in the fading light. "What are you thinking?" she smiled. "That I spent 33 years building an empire, and it never felt as important as this moment right here. No regrets. Only that we lost so much time." She turned to look at him. "But maybe we needed that time. Needed to become who we are now so we could appreciate what we have." Jamie kissed her forehead. "Wise words, Mrs. Mitchell. I'm keeping Hartford professionally, but I like the sound of Mrs. Mitchell." She grinned. "Megan suggested I go by Olivia Hartford Mitchell. Says it sounds powerful. That kid's going to run the world someday. Probably we should prepare accordingly." They stood there in the parking lot as stars emerged overhead, two people who'd found each other twice across impossible odds. People who'd learned that success, measured in dollars, meant nothing compared to success measured in moments like this. Ordinary, extraordinary, perfect. And as the mountains stood witness and the stars wheeled overhead, two people who'd thought they'd missed their chance at happiness proved that it's never too late to find your way home.